I'm going to blabber on for about 3 minutes, so skip to 3 minutes 40 seconds if you want to get to the meat of the video. Thanks. Hi, I'm Southie. The night before the series started, actually it was the morning of because I stay up really late, but I hadn't gone to bed yet, so essentially the night before. I wrote this long, winding expression of thanks and just sort of a look behind the curtain, why I did this, why I started it, all my plans. And I just recorded that to be my cold open, and it took 7 minutes. And I think I'll probably have enough to say in this video that I don't want to lead with a 7-minute cold open. So I'll syncopate it greatly. My original plan, and if you've been following me from the beginning, you might remember this from my bio. My original plan was to start creating content in the off season. So now, essentially. I probably would have waited till tomorrow at least. I wanted a clean starting point. I'm weird like that. I like that. And I probably kept that up after I created Southie Bees and everything, the accounts. I probably kept that up for about a week that I was going to wait. And then I started because I was too excited. And I shot a BS with SB at 4K 60 FPS, which didn't work at all because that's too big of a file. So then I corrected that, and I like to think that I've gotten better already, but I don't know why I did this. In March, when I created this, I just had an itch to do something new, and that's unlike me. Usually I'm pretty happy with my boring existence, if you will. And this is something I've always kind of wanted to do. I love hockey. I love the Bruins. I love play-by-play. I love talking about it. It's the only sport I know well enough to talk about and not look like an idiot. So here I am, kind of at the end of my preseason, I guess. This was all gravy. This was all on top. And already, I tried something kind of like this before, not a YouTube channel, but a hockey Instagram. And it fizzled out after months of laborious, tedious posting with like 50 or 60 followers. And here I am, about a month and change into Southie Bees with 155 followers on Instagram and 37 subscribers on YouTube. And when I say that I did not expect to get that much, I didn't. I thought I'd get maybe a dozen views on a couple videos, a subscriber or two out of pity, and that this would fizzle out. And it hasn't. And I feel like it's still growing, and I feel like I have so much more to do, and I feel like I'm not ready for the season to be over. But it is, and we'll talk about why it is and all kinds of things about the season and the off season today and in future videos, but I'm not going anywhere. Now I really have to stick around. This is when I plan to start. So for all of you who have been here already, thank you. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. Thank you for being here for season 0 of Southie Bees. Thank you for being here on this last brew review. I hope I give you something that's worth watching here. And I hope that I can continue to do that over the off season. I hope it's more worth watching than that game was.
Bruins
lose.
Bees lose 4-1 at home to the Buffalo Sabres in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Quarterfinals, and their season comes to a close. Goals were scored in order by Alex Tuch, Matthias Samuelsson, David Pastrnak, Zach Benson, and Josh Norris. The win goes to Alex Lyon, who made 25 saves on 26 shots for a .962 save percentage. The loss goes to Jeremy Swayman, who made 22 saves on 25 shots for an .880 save percentage. For the brass tacks of the game, please check out Southie's booth in the description below. I give my reactions to the major events of the game. You've probably seen one of the videos before. If you haven't, if you're new here, if this is your first video, welcome. And yeah, check that out, because I might reference it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't know. And I still had my beard, and I looked less like a thumb. I miss not looking like a thumb. I'm not really sure where to start. There's a lot to say, and yet somehow I feel like we kind of all know what it is already. So I guess I'll say congratulations to the Buffalo Sabres, their first series win since 2007 or something, since eons ago. They deserved it. Not a doubt in my mind, shouldn't be in any of yours either, that the better team won this series. They did. The Sabres were better in virtually every way. Lyon, I think statistically, I know statistically had a better series than Swayman. That's not a discredit to Swayman. What are you going to do with that defense? Buffalo's defense is excellent. They got good production from their top three lines. Their fourth line knew their role. And in fact, I think got on the score sheet maybe once or twice. So the only fault you can find in that team really consistently is their power play. But they didn't need it. So, and we gave them plenty of chances to use it. So, I mean, imagine if it were good. But yeah, congratulations to the Sabres. There's no amount of if we did this, if we did that, changing the lineup, the refs. I watched Hampus Lindholm drag a guy down by his skates like 9 times today, and it was never called. I'm fine with the refs. There was no amount of anything that could change the outcome of this series. There was a massive talent imbalance, and the inexperience that I hoped might save us was not enough of a factor, and that's a credit to Lindy Ruff too. This is not the Sabres of yore. This is a team that I think is going to be a problem in the Eastern Conference for a while now. I really did believe here at the end. You always let yourself believe, or sometimes you force yourself to believe because that's what makes it fun. I don't think you're not a real fan if you have a nagging voice in your head reminding you of the past or telling you why something's less likely, more likely, whatever. But I even that voice was gone, and there was no intellectual balking at belief that we would win this game because we were so good at home all year. And we were coming back home and we hadn't won a home game yet in the series. And I know we've had series like that before where we do not defend home ice. I think in 2019 against St. Louis in the Cup final, I think we lost 3 of 4 on home ice. But I didn't think that a team that was so good at home would drop all 3 games at home. And we did. We played our worst game of the series at home. That wasn't tonight, but we couldn't get it going in the Garden. And I saw people kind of making fun of the fans, saying the Garden's a library. There's nothing to cheer about. It's a funeral. Do you want me to clap? So, I mean, and I thought, first of all, I heard anecdotal evidence from people who were there tonight that it was bumping. But you could see, even when Buffalo got that third goal, that was essentially the nail in the coffin from how the game had been going, you could still see the fans there standing, waving the towels, shouting. There was a guy with 3 minutes left they cut to who probably had a lot of beer in him, but who was standing up there still shouting, still waving that towel, still cheering, still believing. So I'll give the credit to the fans who were there, and I don't even hold it against the fans who left. Might as well beat the traffic, catch the earlier train, whatever it is. The team didn't show up. Not enough. There was the glimmer when we scored at the start of the second, and it looked like we might be able to take that period and turn the game around. There was the glimmer. And there were other chances that were good, but just nothing ever shone that brightly. The other issue that I have, in addition to the fact that it's unacceptable to drop all 3 games at home in a 7-game series, the other issue that I really have is at the end of the regular season, we went on that little run. You probably remember, I know I do, where we scored 1 goal in every game, just 1. And I said then, I would pull the clip, but I don't want to make this an overly wrought, overly edited video. I really just want to talk. I said that that's not going to fly. First of all, it wasn't flying then. We were losing every game when we scored 1 goal. But in the postseason, you might be able to win 1 game, 1-0. There have actually been a lot of 1-0 goals or games that have gone into overtime. There were a couple 0-0 overtime games. There was the one today that was Tampa and Montreal. There was another one, was it Dallas and Minnesota? Or somebody, maybe Vegas? Whoever it was. There was another 0-0 game that went to overtime as such. Oh, Pittsburgh and Philly, duh. You can win a game 1-0. It's allowed. You're not going to win a series winning 4 games 1-0. And in all 3 games at home, we scored 1 goal. 1 game it was Jeannot, 1 game it was Corrali, 1 game it was Pastrnak. At least it was Pastrnak. But it was 1 goal, and it wasn't enough, and it was never going to be enough. And we can sit here and talk about the defense, and yes, the defense. There needs to be a lot of new faces on the blue line next year, and I think there will be. But for all the good defending and all the great goaltending that you could have in the world and that we do have in the net, if you score one goal, you're simply not going to win that many hockey games. And so it was disappointing to see us plagued by the same demons that seemed to be haunting us at the end of the season. It's easy now to look back at game one, to look at that third period, the collapse, and say, if we had just held on there. Because we won game two, so if we win game one as well, then we go back to Boston up 2-0. I'm not convinced the math works out that way. I don't really think there is math that applies to hockey or sports like that. If something different happens in game one, something different may well happen in game two. Maybe we don't win it. But even if we do go back to Boston up 2-0, we lost all 3 games at home. As the series was played, as it happened, we did. We scored 1 goal in each of those games, which is terrible, unacceptable, and foreseeable. It was a problem we had at the end of the regular season. And I respect Marco switching stuff up to try to fix it. Different lines, different people on the ice, different scratches. And I think he kind of did what he could reasonably with the hand that he had. It was a hand that had like 12 sevens of clubs in it. In a game where you can't make pairs or flushes. This could be a weaker metaphor than I intended. What is the culture of the Boston Bruins? Not the 101-year-old franchise, not Marco Sturm's piss and vinegar speech from the beginning of the season, not whatever. What is the culture of this team? This group of guys? Close your eyes. I will do it too. And imagine it. Imagine the culture. Imagine the identity. What images come to mind? What do you see? What do you know? You might get a shape. You might get an outline or a color or a flash of light. But I don't get anything concrete. I don't see anything. There's nothing to feel or touch or rally around. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's the lack of captain. I don't know if it's just the fact that this is kind of a new group of guys, that Marchand's gone, a move I'm still fine with. But when Marchand left, it was the end of an era because he was the last Stanley Cup winning as a Bruin player on the roster. And that meant something, but it was also becoming an increasingly distant memory that was well obscured, in my opinion, by the forest of calamity between us and it. By 2013, you can forgive. There was the comeback against Toronto that was awesome. Probably shouldn't have been down like that, but... And then losing to the better Blackhawks in a brutal fashion, but the better Blackhawks. But then 2019, the loss to St. Louis, unacceptable. Both the performances at home and to lose to a team that I think that calendar year, might have been January, maybe December, was in the basement of their conference. There's 2022, 2023, where we lost to the Panthers after a great season, a Panthers team that became a buzzsaw. Spare me. 3-1. The team up 3 always needs to win. I don't care who the 3 is. I don't care who the 1 is. Always need to win. You need to be able to win 1 of 3 games in a series, especially when 2 of them are at home. What was that culture? It doesn't really matter now. What is this culture? Matters a whole lot. And it's going to change again because a lot of these, not a lot maybe, but some of these players ain't coming back. Because if we turn on our TV in September and October as a series, is there even anything in September or is preseason all October? But now it's an 84-game season. It might start earlier. When we turn on our TV in vague fall time, if we see things like Mason Lohrei, maybe, Jordan Harris, maybe, Andrew Peeke, hell to pay, because it won't work, because we know it doesn't. So what is the culture of this team? It's something that over the next several months, over the next couple years maybe, will need to become refined and defined. And we'll need to know what it is. And they, in that locker room, starting tonight, starting before, but starting tonight, will need to look for it and find it. Because it cannot be that next year or whenever, when we're in a position like this again, that our 3 worst games in the series come at home. Because it's already been too much of that. Bring. What was that? Sounded like my phone. That must mean it's time for the Michael DiPietro Lover question of the day. Let's hear what it is. No, I didn't purchase that item. You need me to say the item, but I didn't. Henry Yoki Haru body pillow. Extra large. Yeah, there were 2 of them. It was not, in fact, Michael DiPietro Lover. But this is Michael DiPietro Lover asks us, what is our main focus this offseason? For once, I am going to... and leave it for y'all. Let me know what you think about the Bruins offseason, what we should do, and I am planning to make a video about this pretty soon, obviously, and feature your comments and your ideas. So let me know down in the comments below and on my Instagram, and let Michael DiPietro Lover know wherever you can find him. I'd start on Instagram. That's all I've been able to nail down so far, but there could be more. Before the series, I mentioned 5 keys for success. I wouldn't call what we did a success, but let's see how the keys went. First key was keeping the top 6 productive. For my purposes, although the lines were jumbled, the top 6 were Arvidsson, Mittelstadt, Zacha, Pastrnak, Geekie, and Lindholm. I think that's about what the lines were, at least as the series started, and that's really what I was looking for as top N. So, from Pastrnak, we got 7 points, 3 goals, and 4 assists. That leads the team. Geekie had 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists. Lindholm had 2 points, 2 goals, no assists. Zacha had 3 points, 1 goal, 2 assists. Mittelstadt had 2 points, no goals, 2 assists. And Arvidsson had 2 points, 2 goals, no assists. If you're keeping track at home, and I appreciate it if you are, that is only 2 players with more than 4 points, and only 3 players in the top 6 with more than 3. However, if I expand that from top 6 forwards to entire hockey team, that remains true. The only players with more than 3 points were Zacha, Geekie, and Pastrnak. I guess the guys you would want to have them. Everyone else had 2 or fewer points. Oh my goodness. Point 2, activating the youth. For my purposes, the youth were Hagens, Minton, and Huznodinov. Hagens, of course, got scratched. Arvidsson, I should mention, of course, got injured, so a little lenience towards him. Hagens had 0 points. That must mean 0 goals and 0 assists. Huznodinov had 0 points, and Minton had 0 points. Flexibility on offense and flexibility on defense are our next 2 points. And that one, I will not complain about. Thank you, Marco. I'm happy. I saw some complaints about who exactly, of course there's going to be. Someone's always going to like one guy over another. I'm a big Reichel fan. It was good to take him out. He wasn't the right choice. I think Steve's was. I think ASMalt was. I think they gave us the best chance of winning. I know it didn't work today, but it worked in Game 5. And he tried something. And he put in Yoki Haru for Harrison. It wasn't working. He tried something. He kept the lines moving and pliable. He kept the scratches moving and pliable. He adapted as best as he could with his deck of only 7s of clubs. I don't know really what you could want. I don't know. I thought he was fine. He is not a finalist for the Jack Adams. That's a kind of a separate news point. Some people were upset about that. He was borderline. I can live with him not being. I don't think it goes to anyone other than Lindy Ruff this year anyway. But I think the adaptation was fine. I think with the hand that he had, he did something. And I appreciate him doing something. Point 5, Swayman or bust. Indeed it was. The only time Swayman didn't play was when we had the extra attacker out or when we were getting shelled to hell and back, so they put in Korpisalo to save him. 3 out of 5 of my keys were adhered to. And we lost. And in many of our losses, we were uncompetitive. At least from my perspective, that suggests that there was simply an imbalance of talent here, which to me will always sit at the core of this series. We are worse at playing the sport hockey, and as a result, the other team was better. Perhaps it's not even a result, rather an attendance circumstance. I don't have it in me to wail and bellow and scream and carry on, whatever, about this game. I almost wish I did, because I feel like this is the biggest game of the season. This is our biggest loss. Obviously, the season is now over, and it was another unacceptable performance, and we lost our third game at home, and I so believed we weren't going to do that. But we lost a series. When you take a step back from the disgusting particulars of it, we lost a series to a better team. The Sabres were the better team. This was borderline inevitable. And if we won Tampa or Montreal waiting in the wings, I think maybe we have a shot on Montreal if Swayman can play even better somehow. I think Tampa would have been obscene. Like, people might have gotten arrested for what that would have been. So I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that the way we went out wasn't what it should have been. It should have been more. It should have been better. We should have had something. But we didn't. Or whatever we had, it wasn't enough. For the last time this season, BS with SB. From Poitras Glazer 51, frowning emoticon. From Fraser Edits .93, sad. Sad. From Spencer Hates Hockey, whatever, but typed in such a way that I can sense sorrow behind the screen. Yeah. I think rather than looking for a cause, I think rather than blaming someone, whether on our team, who probably deserve it, or not, who probably don't, I think that's kind of the way to take this one. It's disappointing. We all wish it could have been different. We all want to win the cup, but I think we all would have liked just a little bit more of a spark, especially here at the end. From Fraser Edits .93, gonna cry M-. At least there's the draft soon. Frowning emoji. There is a draft soon, and if we can get to 50 subscribers before the draft on YouTube, I can live stream the draft, and I will. I would love to do that. That could be my inaugural live stream. I have a box back there with another random haul of stuff from the brand 47 that I will open on my first live stream. It could be a whole thing. Because, don't forget, the Bruins have a lot at stake in this draft. If Toronto fall out of the top 5, which they have approximately, I believe, a 60% chance of doing, we will get that pick. It is only a top 5 protected pick from the Brandon Carlo trade that netted us Fraser Minton as well. Oh my goodness, what a bad trade for Toronto. So, if you're interested in seeing me react to the draft lottery live, in full color, in 1080p, my Wi-Fi's spotty, 720, let's say, subscribe. Tell other people to subscribe. Make a burner account. I cannot suborn you to do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Not that. But real humans, subscribe. From Bottle Abdi. Thoughts on the McAvoy swing? Yeah, so at the end of the game, as they were racing down for an icing on the empty net, Benson, I really do think, I'm not trying to dog him here, hockey's hockey, I think he kind of slew fits McAvoy. They're both, I can't tell quite if he's just jostling for position, but his left skate goes so far behind McAvoy's legs that it looked a little bit dirty to me. And so McAvoy gets up and, Paul Bunyan's him in the shoulder. He doesn't go for the head. The major penalty was absolutely the right call. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets fined. I don't think there'd be a suspension coming off of that because, it's kind of retaliatory for another borderline play. So I think it'll be a fine and stopped at that. I don't think Benson will or should get suspended. It was a chippy series, Buffalo was able to get away with a lot. And we could have too, and we didn't always try to. So I'm not really gonna get on them for playing playoff hockey. Maybe we'll learn a thing or two from that. And finally, from Arvidsson Lover. Inconsistent team, it bit us in the playoffs. Where were Elias, Zacha, Mint, and Mittelstadt? Me personally, I would take Mint. I would at least remove him slightly from that group, only in as much as so young. A player that wasn't really clear what he was going to be coming into the season and how consistent he was going to be able to be in the show, and he was pretty consistent. I know he didn't show up big in the playoffs. Several games he was playing on a line that I don't think was very well constructed for this particular game. no one was great enough this series for me to look at Minton and say that he was the problem. Elias, Zacha, and Middlestat, more of a problem. Zacha he had an assist today, but all of those big-time goals that we got at the end of the season from him, for which he still deserves credit, because without those wins, we would have been in jeopardy for our playoff spot, which we practically almost were. Fortunately, the rest of the Eastern Conference kind of fell off at the right time for us to lose and still stay in our position. Elias, man, for a guy who got a couple goals, including a huge goal in Game 5, it felt like he was invisible all the rest of the time. That is a tough contract. He had a brutal play during the empty net sequence leading up to Buffalo's 4th goal, where he passed it towards Geeky-ish, but just kind of rung it around the boards. Rung is not right, by the way. Ringed, because it's not a bell, but yeah, I mean, I would honestly seriously consider moving that contract if it's possible. I don't think it is, but I would seriously try. And then Middlestat, I was very disappointed in him. I liked him out of Buffalo. I liked anyone who played for Buffalo during the doldrum years, because if you looked halfway decent on that god-awful roster, Reinhardt, for example, look at him now, it kind of became clear that Olmark, he won a Vezina the second he got out of there. So, yeah, I was disappointed in Middlestat. He didn't seem... He got a breakaway today where he got an okay chance and then kind of whiffed on the second one, hit the side of the goal. That'll happen. Just every time he got a chance to step up, it felt like he stepped down. And that was too bad. That's it. The last BS with SB of the season, the last Brew review of the season. I've had a lot of fun. I wasn't even supposed to be here yet. And so, even though it's kind of, melancholic to end it now, I'll be back for the next season and I'll do every game. And it's a longer season now, so bonus 2 games for me, along with whatever we can do in the playoffs. And I believe we will be back. So let's look forward to that. Let's look forward to this offseason. I'll still be posting. I'm not going anywhere. So please like, subscribe, share, comment. Weird order to say those in. Put on the notifications bell. People say that in YouTube videos. I don't know what that does other than notify you. But I post on my Instagram. I assume most of you follow me there. If you don't, do. And thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching this channel. Thank you for giving me a chance as I get this thing started. This really was just the beginning. It almost wasn't supposed to happen. So I appreciate you being here. And I appreciate you watching this hockey team with me or against me in the case of my one loyal Buffalo Sabres viewer. Congrats to you, buddy. Good luck next round. So until then... Until, I don't know, off-season review maybe. Go Bees.